Hi, y'all. This is Dr. Martha Durham. I'm a psychologist here in Greenville, South Carolina, and this is another episode of the Why Did They Do That podcast. And I am joined by one of my longest-term friends. I think I was 17 when we met, and you must have been 18 or 19.
I'm a year older than you, yes.
1 year older. And this is Melanie Juraschek, who is a dear friend, but also has a lot of expertise in a lot of areas. She is a former nurse who then was a pharmaceutical sales rep for a big pharmaceutical company.
Mm-hmm.
She also has the great fortune of having an ADHD little sister in her sorority, which is me. And she has 2 children with ADHD and a husband with ADHD.
Yes.
And Melanie does not have ADHD. Correct?
I don't know how we would function if we all did.
Well, I don't know how you function with all of us around you. I mean, that feels like a lot. Does it feel like a lot to you?
Some days are more than others.
Yes.
I feel like my kids, though, I trained them a little better maybe. And, we knew more, obviously, when my children, they're now 30 and 27, on how to manage and raise children that have learning disabilities, attention disorders, than my husband. So my children are not so bad.
Well, children listen to their parents, or at least they are expected to and mostly do. Our partners do not have to.
No. And they never learn some of the great things that we taught our children, or we tried to teach our children.
Well, part of that is we didn't know a lot about ADHD. So when I look at myself, I'm 60 now. I didn't know what was going on. No. I just thought there was something wrong with me, and that I didn't talk about. But like, why can't I comprehend what I'm reading easily? Right. Why do I feel spazzy a lot? Why do I blurt things? And, socially, what would happen is you'd get feedback. And that feedback was normally you're rude or looks or why can't you do it?
Right.
And so I feel like for me, I learned to compensate. And so maybe for Rick, your husband, he just didn't know.
I don't think he knew. And I feel like society might be a little bit different in past years, because he was able to compensate a little bit in ways that my children necessarily weren't able to compensate. For example, school's a little different now, the way they teach our children. We put Mac in a smaller environment, and it really helped him, who was my son. Whereas when Rick was in school, they just kind of breeze over some of those things. And he was smart enough to make good enough grades to get by, but maybe not flourish the way that he could have. Yeah. Organization skills were not necessarily something that was on the forefront of teachers' minds, when we grew up. But you have to be organized now to be a student in a big school.
Well, we're going to stick a pin in that and come back to this idea of information overload, which would require that you need those organizational skills for sure.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, but one of the things I want to highlight that I think is really important in what you said, there are different levels or intensities of ADHD.
100%.
And for me, I think I had just enough to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
It did hold me back a little bit, but I learned how to say, oh, I'm sorry, I blurted, I stepped on your words. Like, I had enough social grease to have people not hate me for being obnoxious.
Right.
But then you fast forward, and not even fast forward, there's some people who have it worse. And my son also has it, and his was bad.
Yes,
and when
there are different degrees, for sure.
Yeah.
And they always, you know this better than me, but ADHD always runs with bad characters, poor organizational skills, poor working memories, slow processing. And, we were able to identify that in our children, all testing from great people like you, and some life skills that we learned from great people like you, that you probably
She doesn't mean me, but she means people like me, because I could never do that for my good friends.
No, you couldn't. And we live in different states. So
yes.
But
Yeah.
People like that were not available to help when
Mm-hmm.
you and my husband were younger. So therefore, those skills you really have to pick up as you age, and sometimes you may or sometimes you may not. And it may make you successful or not successful in life and work and
Yeah.
relationships if you don't adapt.
Well, I think Rick and I are we had enough of the other stuff, and it wasn't
Correct.
intense enough that we both could be successful.
Yes, yes. Yeah,
But
obviously you're
kids,
very bright
no.
and he's bright and very personable. And so he was able to get by. But, sometimes when there's stuff strewn all over the house and I'm a neat freak, it just might send me over the edge that day.
You're a saint because you have stuck with all this. You're a great mom. You're a great wife,
Thank
partner.
you.
Yeah, I mean, you really have had to put up with a lot. And I feel sorry for you. And I'm going to forget about that really soon because that's the beauty of ADHD. And it could also be bad for you because Rick, I love him, and I'm sure I'm the same. We just move on.
Right.
Something happens, it really impacts someone else, and we just move on.
Yes. Which might be
And
a
that
good thing in life, really.
for us, but not for the people who have to process all that.
Yes, yes. But like you said, I think quite often you have learned to adapt and you're in a relationship with someone that you have been with for a long time. So they will bring something to your attention and they're like, hey, we need to work on this. Let's work
Yes.
on this together. You're driving me crazy with the notes stuck all over the house or, whatever it is, going to the grocery store and always forgetting one thing.
Well, so you're being so good. You're being so good. That is not how it goes down. Like my husband gets mad at me, and last night we're driving, and he showed me what I had done. I said something, then I went somewhere else and said something else. He answered the second thing I said, and then I didn't remember, and I went back to the first thing I said, and he's like, Martha, you have just demonstrated what a conversation with you is like and why we miscommunicate and have fights. And he was right.
Yes, this is true. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So thank you for being really nice and kind of saint-like with Rick and with me.
Well, and like your husband, who was lovely, and I really love and adore, we have to be very patient people. We have to repeat
Yes.
ourselves. Quite often, we have to get up and demonstrate
Yes.
what we
Yes.
need.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
like this door over here, not that door.
it's a good partnership, but then you also, let's go back to the kids. So you're also trying to manage that with kids.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found with Bruce and what I think you found with Mac is that for boys, and maybe for Annie too, because your daughter has it too, um, you so Bruce could get really irritating. People would get mad at him. It wasn't like me. It wasn't that he had the social grease. He was like a bull in a china shop. And so you really have to manage that with medication, with all this behavioral stuff. Did you find that with your kids?
Actually, Annie is more the hyperactive one, like Bruce.
Yeah.
Mac was a little more shy.
Yes.
Um, and so he needed managing in other ways. But yes, problems with friends, as you know, is common with
Yes.
ADHD people. Um, and they also, it's because they have so much energy.
Yes.
And so I remember when we first started seeing a therapist, they really encouraged us to keep our children active. Obviously, Bruce is very active
Mm-hmm.
playing sports, and Annie was always very active playing sports. So, whatever you want to do, whether it be art, music, whatever, just be active. So, as a working mother, trying to manage all that, my husband actually was really good at if you give him a task and it's very clear, he was great at that. So Annie needs to be at practice at 5. I got to pick Mac up at school at 6. So like any successful parenting couple, you kind of got to manage all that, but you have to be very clear in communication and
Yeah.
make sure everybody knows which way we're going at what time. So
Yeah.
yeah, I do feel like sports really helped Annie. And
Oh,
probably
yeah.
Bruce too, right? Get that
Yes.
energy out. Yeah.
Yes. Tell me some of the things you said that you had worked with people like me, and I'll be honest, I do some ADHD work, but there are specialists
Yes.
who that's all they do, and
Hmm.
you have gone to them. Tell me some of the trips, and oh my gosh,
Tricks.
tricks and tips that they helped you with and helped the kids with.
I think the best things that we learned were schedules and routines and being pretty consistent with that as you can be. And it's certainly easier when they're younger and they're not traveling for sports and things or whatever their activity is. And I always say sports because that's what we did. But that may not be your child's interest. So whether it's getting to a band function or whatever. Having a dinner at night together as much as we could, all of us sitting down, even if it wasn't a great meal, but sitting down and just
Yeah.
having family time. I also feel like they really encouraged me and taught me that my kids all learn a little different and that I really need to have them tested to put them in a good
Yes.
environment to make them feel good about themselves because they were bright kids, but Annie needed a lot of repetition. She had a math tutor from fifth grade until she graduated from high school, and we went once or twice a week. She needed to hear things multiple times.
Hmm.
And if she hadn't had that, she would have really not done well in math classes. And then you feel bad about yourself. And it's not
Right.
necessarily everybody doesn't learn the same way. And so those professionals really encouraged me to get some professional testing, tutors, all the things that go along with studying properly, providing a proper environment for them to study, encouraging that, not just sending a kid to a room to study, but sort of checking in with them. And so it's a little
Uh-huh.
bit more hands-on than say some other kids may have it.
Yeah, we call that scaffolding. And you reminded me of something so important. A lot of my ADHD kids, and that's a neuroatypicality, and so is ASD, which is different, but they're both neuroatypical brains. So those people mature later and develop later. And
Yes.
so you can expect your ADHD adult child to launch a little later. And I see that over and over again. And I spend a lot of time with parents saying, you're just going to have to push away the people who say, failure to launch and what's wrong with them and they're not going to make it. And you have to provide more scaffolding, almost like they're still in high school for a
Yes.
little while longer.
Right.
We did the tutoring thing. And frankly, for Bruce, he has to have a college tutor.
Right.
It's hard to be a student athlete. Annie
Sure.
found that out as
Yes.
well.
Yes, for sure.
I don't know how we would have done it without that person.
Oh, I totally agree. And you can't be your child's tutor.
No. Say why.
Because you're going to end up fighting and hating each other more than normal.
100%.
Yes.
Right? I say I want my kids to come and spend Thanksgiving and Christmas with me, so I cannot be their tutor.
Right. Exactly. Yes, you can't be their tutor. Even in elementary school, I learned that so early. When I did understand the math they were doing, it was just a fight. But
Yes.
and also their teachers just have a different way of explaining things to them
Yes.
that I didn't necessarily have. Obviously, math's taught a little different now than it was when you and I were going through school. So me approaching math in a different way than they're learning in the classroom also was not very productive for Annie. She needed to hear and reinforce what she was learning in the classroom. So
Yes.
it's money well spent. I'll never
Oh,
regret
yeah.
it. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's another thing that occurred. I have another son, Max, who is also ADHD, and he's different. He's not hyper either, but he was wildly impulsive. So
Yes.
you can be impulsive without being hyper.
Yes. 100%.
And he had to go on medication really early, which was really hard for a mother.
Yes.
And the way our prescriber explained it to me, and I totally agree with now, is they will, if they are told you're lazy, you're unmotivated, why can't you do this? They'll take that label and they'll keep it.
Yes.
And so rather than allowing them to do that and go on this other path, the medicine and the behavioral stuff early changed his trajectory. Like he's
100%,
going to be
yes.
successful now. But had we not done that, what would happen?
Yes, exactly. Well, it's back to what I was referring to about their self-esteem.
Yep.
They see their friends around them doing better in school. It affects how they feel about themselves. And those are, especially in middle school, I feel like those are such formative years that carry with you through your life, even though you may be successful in high school or in college or later in life. If you always have in the back of your head, I was never good at math. She was always smarter than me. I was not as good as them. It still echoes in your brain. So I think as a mom, you just have to do everything within your power that you can to try to help your kids along and help them learn to behave and get along. And you need a team of people to help you. Your husband's got to be on board.
Yes.
Therapy, tutors, etc.
And sometimes you're fighting your friends and family because they don't get it.
Right.
And you'll hear comments and they'll keep thinking, well, you're just not disciplining them the right way. You're not giving them the right consequences. They don't get it.
No.
They don't get it. And then you're also feeling like your kids, like everybody's telling you how to parent, and they just don't get it. And you have to stay on your course that you know is the right course for your children.
Correct. That's very true. Yes.
I think you probably know about this, but there's something called rejection sensitive dysphoria. Do you know a lot about that?
I do not.
Okay, so let me tell you about it.
Okay.
And I'm fairly sure that both of your kids have experienced some of it, as have mine. So when you got your diagnosis late, or you had a lot of time when people were saying you're unmotivated, maybe you're lazy, whatever, you can internalize that, and then you can have what looks like a mood disorder. You can become hypersensitive to rejection, and it makes it look like you have up and down moods when really it's that old undiagnosed and untreated ADHD from way back.
Yes.
You're so smart and you know so much. I'm shocked you don't know it, but I'm sending you an article.
Okay. Well, I know of it. I don't know the professional words, those big words you have labeled or not labeled, but it's a diagnosis, I guess. But yes, you can see that. I even have nieces and nephews that have ADHD, and they've had a real hard time getting on the correct medicine too. That's the other thing that can be kind of frustrating, because as a mom, you're going back and forth to the doctor trying to evaluate whether the child's on the proper medication. Is it lasting all day? Do I need a bump in the afternoon? How do I manage that?
So I think we could have another whole conversation about this, and I would love to. But one thing I'll say real quick is there's something called the gene site test where they can tell you what you metabolize better.
Yes.
So that takes some of that guesswork out.
Yes.
But anyway, I'm so thrilled you came here and talked to me about this.
Absolutely.
And I'm so thrilled you've stayed my friend all these years.
I'm thrilled you stayed my friend.
I adore you. You let me blurt. You let me interrupt. You love me just as I am. And that's what we need. And you do the same for your family.
Well, so, you're kind. Thank you.
No, remember, I'm honest. I'm not kind. I'm honest. Thank you so much for coming in today and talking to us about being the non-ADHD member of your entire family and some of your friend group on the Why Did They Do That podcast. If you guys liked what you heard, please subscribe and share and join us again. Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you, Martha. Have a good day.
You too.